I'll tell you what's going on.
Audio's up. Sorry.
Now the audio's back. Yo, what the heck is going on, everybody?
Redo it. Run the whole thing again, Kevin. Run the thing, Kevin.
Give me a second.
We're on YouTube. It's a whole thing. He's got to make a new YouTube. It's a thing.
No, just do the intro again. Just do the intro again.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Kind of Funny Gamescast for Monday, July 8th, 2024. I'm one of your show hosts, Snowbike Mike, and today I'm joined by two awesome gaming dads, Mr. Paris Lilly and Greg Miller. Boys, welcome back from a fun July 4th holiday weekend. Of course, welcome back, audience. It's a nice Monday to see you all. Greg, before you even speak, I'm going to give you three options to kick off today's show with Paris Lilly. One, we can talk about NCAA college football 2024 because
Stop saying NCAA. It's got nothing to do with it anymore. Ball it up and throw it out.
I've noticed that a lot of show hosts here on Kind of Funny Games Daily haven't spoken about all the awesome news that we've gotten over the past couple of weeks. Top 10 toughest places to play. Top 25 NCAA teams.
You want to talk about the top
offenses.
9 offense? University of Missouri.
Saying I noticed
MIZ.
ZOU that a lot of people haven't been talking about it in this office, and it seems like maybe it's just a lack of Mike, Greg, and Paris to talk about that. Two, we could talk about, of course, Money in the Bank. A lot of conversation around that. Tiffy time, y'all. Or number three, Greg Miller, everybody wants to know what the heck you're playing on set right now because it's very important to the audience and today's episode.
Well, I'm playing the cloud right now, right? We have a big thing. We're going to talk about the cloud. We're going to talk about the Amazon Fire Stick Paris has been using and all that jazz. So I was over here running around Starfield and stuff. But we'll save all that for later, all right?
Number three, gone.
Money in the Bank. We'll go backward. I'm just going to go backwards.
Okay, run it back.
Money in the Bank. Come on now. Predictable, of course. Had we all been saying CM Punk was going to show up, ruin it? Of course they were. Of course. Tiffy time, great. You know, in my heart of hearts, it's just being favoritism. I love Chelsea Green.
Yeah, of course.
She's a friend. I can talk to her. I can actually DM her and she responds, right? So it would have been rad to see her win, but she had an amazing bump. And of course, Tiffy's amazing. So I'm down for Tiffy time. The continuing saga of just WWE in general, to get out of it, I'm excited for Raw tonight of having Dom and Liv team up against Ray and Zelina. That's pretty cool. That'll be a fun one to see what they do with that storyline as they continue to evolve that. Of course, Money in the Bank was fun. A lot of people were calling out a lot of botches in there. A lot of the Damian Priest not kicking out at 3. I was like, you know what I mean? But overall as a package, we had fun out there, right? Number one, you want to talk about just the fact that whenever there's a second just of downtime, Paris Lilly, I'm thinking about being out there on Faroe Field. I'm thinking about hitting it. I'm thinking about little pitch, little catch, get out there and go. I was watching the NCAA, got it in my head now. College football, been putting out the videos. They had the Michigan-Texas game, played both ways today. I was watching that on YouTube, having fun with that. The problem is we got this Poindexter, Blessing Adeoye Jr. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's over here building the show every day. He doesn't understand what football fans like you and me want, all right? We want to know about it. The toughest
All I
place
want is a conversation about is the toughest place to play Kyle Field out in Texas A&M.
Is it?
Yeah, Paris shook his head. Absolutely not, right, Paris? No way.
Paris, what's the toughest place?
Were you waiting for me to follow up on that?
Well, you threw your name in the middle of that rant.
Well, I'm biased, so I'm always going to say it's Doak Campbell Stadium in Tallahassee, Florida. That's just me.
He is very biased. Yeah,
what about me? Well, Michigan. Come on, always a tough place
the Big House, of course. Big House actually not cracking the top 10 toughest places to play for college football 2025. Of course, you do have the Swamp hitting the top 10. I am surprised that Tiger Stadium, number 3, LSU, is not number 1. One of the dopest places to play in Death Valley on a lovely, Saturday, Friday night football game. Come on now. And you're not going to get them number 1?
I'm prepared to cry when I see the Faroe Field, the Mizzou Stadium, when the zoo gets out there. All right, when we see what's going on out there, Memorial Stadium.
Your Missouri Tigers,
number 9.
Number 9, top-rated offense in the game right now.
I saw that. I'm like, we're obviously going to be a lock for the top 25 in this game. No. The defense so bad, they say. The defense and special teams so bad.
You do not crack the top 25, Greg, is
outrageous.
Correct.
Kansas does.
You know, who else doesn't crack the top 25? Paris Lilly and his FSU Seminoles, not on the list at all.
we got screwed in real life. Like, this is literally like a wrestling angle at this point.
Yeah.
You screw us out of the college playoff, and then you disrespect us coming into the game for the new season and don't even have us in the top 25. I'll fix it. I'll fix it in Dynasty mode. I'm not worried about it.
Dynasty Deep Dive looking really awesome. Sights and Sounds, running with Ralphie, the Colorado Buffalo. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. But we'll be talking about college football and more later on because that game comes out next week.
Next week. We're waiting. Let's go. Let's get me a copy. Get me a review code. Let's go. We're tailgating.
All about
we
it.
are tailgating for the Mizzou Buffalo game that we're going to do here at this. Paris, drive up.
Paris, drive up. Get up here, Paris.
You got a car that drives itself. Go beep, boop, boop. San Francisco, lay back and wake up here.
Depending on the day. Wait, what day are you going to do this? On launch day?
Here's the thing. Well, yeah, right now, so this is full disclosure behind the curtain. We don't have codes. We don't have a review code.
Right.
So we don't know if when we get them, if there's a different embargo for streaming. So if there was, whenever we can, we will. So right now, no review codes would be launched. Your early access launch on Tuesday.
If it's
a week from tomorrow.
Let's just tell them to
I'm
come
bad on
Tuesday.
dates.
A week from tomorrow.
So what, the 16th?
Give him a date.
Sure, yeah.
Literally the only day I can't come up.
Okay, you come up on the 17th.
And it's
watch the video.
It's a good thing that I'll tell you offline. But on the 16th, that's something I have to do. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, of course, let's look forward to today's show. Of course, today's Kind of Funny Gamescast is a review of Xbox Cloud Gaming in 2024 with Greg, Paris, and myself, and also an awesome preview from one Paris Lilly who has jumped in to the next opportunity and way to play Xbox Cloud Gaming. But we'll talk about that in just a moment. Of course, this is the Kind of Funny Gamescast. Each and every weekday, we get together to talk about the biggest reviews, previews, and topics in the video game world, live on YouTube, Twitch, and on podcast services around the globe. If you love what we do, please support us with the Kind of Funny membership available on Patreon and on YouTube to get all of our shows ad-free, watch them as we record them live, and of course, get your daily exclusive show, The Greg Way. Of course, Paris Lilly took over last week's Greg Way
job,
as well.
Paris.
So you can check out Paris with a fun one-on-one Greg Way as well.
I appreciate I sent Paris a lovely little, you did great. We're proud to work with you. Got no response. Not one fucking word.
He's busy. He's very busy.
I swore I did. I sent a heart emoji. Yes, I did.
Of course, for a chance to be part of the show, you can submit your thoughts and opinions as YouTube Super Chats as we go. I'll pull them and read them during the time to keep these guys going. And, of course, some housekeeping.
You hearted the message. It's not the same as a response.
He reacted to it. That's the new thing. You don't type back to anyone on text messages. You just react to their message. You call it good enough is right.
Slack. Who's looking at Slack reactions?
That's a slap in the face is right.
Paris, he's being a baby. He did great.
I know. I literally
did great.
I give a heartfelt message on that Greg Way about how much I love everybody.
Heartfelt message. You know what this man, Mr. Monopoly over here said?
Yeah.
Oh, they can't afford to pay me full time. That's why I'm not coming. Fucking throw me and the company under the bus. You know what I mean? Oh, they're poor as hell. They can't do anything.
That is not what I said. Wow. Well,
Of course, some housekeeping news for you. Kind of Funny Games is an 11-person small business that's all about live talk shows. Today, we've already gotten Roger and Tim talking about Horizon Zero Dawn Netflix show being canceled on Kind of Funny Games Daily, available on YouTube, Twitch, and on podcast services. And of course, after today's Kind of Funny Gamescast, you'll have myself and Nick playing Angerfoot before release on July 11th. We've hooked up with our friends over at Devolver just to give away codes to all of you. So guess what? We got a bunch of Devolver digital video game codes to give away. So if you're tuning in on Twitch and on YouTube, you could possibly win a free game. And of course, if you're a Kind of Funny member, today's Greg Way is how Greg Miller deals with haters on the internet. You got a lot of haters.
No. Well, I mean, yeah. Well, yeah. No, I do. Yeah.
No way.
You know how much people hate
You're
me.
so
Don't
pumped.
worry about it. They hate you too. They hate all of us. They hate Paris. Like, that's what I'm talking about. But as I say in the
Not
video,
me, right,
because
Greg?
they love Kevin can do no wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's Benny who writes in over, not my Benny, a different Ben.
Okay.
My 2.5-year-old didn't write it. Benny writes in over there and asks the question because he's got a YouTube channel.
Okay.
He got one of his videos into the algorithm of the bad people, and the bad people are there being mean to him.
Smokes. Okay.
And I say the same thing I'd say, fuck them. But you can hear more thoughts about it over there.
And you can get the Kind of Funny podcast later this afternoon or tomorrow on YouTube and on podcast services around the globe. Thanks for making our dreams a reality, Patreon producers for the month, Carl Jacobs and Delaney Twining. Today, we're brought to you by Shady Rays and A Better Paradise, but we'll tell you all about that later. For now, let's start the show with topic of the show. This will be today's Kind of Funny X Cloud Gaming review for 2024 and a preview of cloud gaming on Amazon Fire TV. Of course, don't forget, you can super chat with your thoughts and opinions of Xbox Cloud Gaming in 2024 via the super chats on YouTube. We'll be checking in with that throughout the show. But some quick details. Paris got to preview Xbox Cloud Gaming on Amazon Fire TV just this past week, so
Now
he's
I
going
wanna
to tell us
stop
about
you.
that.
Paris, is this a preview or a review? Because I watched your little Twitter video there. Great job. And you've been playing an entire week on it.
Yeah, this is like really a review.
Throw this
like
preview
you said.
stuff out the window.
Okay, wow,
We're getting a Kind of Funny score from Paris.
Okay.
But back to you, Mike.
In June, Xbox announced a collaboration with Amazon to bring Xbox Cloud Gaming to over 25 countries via the Amazon Fire Stick 4K Max and the Fire Stick 4K coming in July. All players will need is a Fire Stick, Fire TV stick, a Bluetooth-enabled wireless controller, and Xbox Game Pass Ultimate membership. Download the Xbox app and play. So, Paris Lily, you've been jumping in. Give me the review. Did they nail it coming and teaming up with Amazon?
I think they mostly nailed it. How do I want to approach this? So I've been using this for pretty much a solid week and played a variety of games across Game Pass. As far as the actual UI and everything of cloud gaming, this is nothing new. They haven't changed anything. If you have a Samsung TV, if you've been using it on a PC browser, the UI is exactly the same. There's no difference there. It's just that now they have the Xbox app available on the Amazon Fire TV, like you said, on the 4K version and on the 4K Max version of it. This was my first experience not using a mobile device where I was wireless. So that was kind of where I was most curious how this would perform. And it worked pretty well. And I even said on my own channel, the biggest thing is getting used to the latency. You can't get around it. There just is latency when you play these games. And if you're used to playing obviously locally and then immediately jumping into cloud gaming, you're really going to notice it. I found that after I played for probably about day 2, I essentially compensated for the latency and I was able to just play games as I normally would. Starfield was one I played a lot. I played a lot of Fallout 76. I actually played Psychonauts 2 probably the most. I just went in and played that almost from start to finish. I just pulled up an old save. Enjoyable. Played Death's Door, played Halo Infinite, played Wolfenstein, things like that. Went back and played Ghost Recon Wildlands for like no reason. And I was jumping in there. Yeah. And like I said, it was good. But my biggest takeaway, and this was just be for the fact that I've used GeForce Now, I've used Amazon Luna, even Samsung's Gaming Hub. There's games on there that you can cloud stream as well. Xbox Cloud Gaming is probably has the biggest latency. It just does.
Really?
In my opinion, I found myself on GeForce Now. There's less latency. When I've used Luna, there's been less latency compared to Xbox Cloud Gaming. My suggestion would be take a page from what Stadia was doing, where they had Wi-Fi direct controllers. That would help with latency. Even when you jump in on this Fire Stick, they warn you about, because I don't have Wi-Fi 6 at home, they warn me to make sure I'm using a 5 gigahertz connection because that helps with it. And if my television supported a game mode, to use that as well, and it did. So I did that. But even with that, I still noticed it. Like Starfield was where I noticed it the most, where it just felt very floaty at first. But once I kind of compensated for that and got used to it, like I said, it was enjoyable to play. But it is not going to replace local gaming. It just isn't. And I don't think anyone should have that expectation going in with this. It's a nice supplement. It's something to have gaming on another device in the home. It's a way to get people that normally don't play games to make it more ease of use, because you simply go into the Fire Stick settings, Fire TV settings, and enable Bluetooth, and you can pair your controller within like 30 seconds, and then just hit that Xbox app and just start playing, which, by the way, that Xbox app is available now to the public. You can download it right now on the Fire TV and check it out for yourself. But after a week of just playing that, like I said, probably by day 2, day 3, I mean, it was an acceptable gaming experience. I would say, score-wise, on the Kind of Funny scale, I'd probably get it an 8 out of 10.
So
overall. Great. There's still work to do, because here's the other thing with Xbox Cloud Gaming that they need to improve upon. Again, GeForce Now is probably their biggest competitor when it comes to this. They don't have 4K gaming. So you would want to get 4K gaming, not to mention that GeForce Now obviously is leveraging NVIDIA. It has, I think, like a 4090 or 4080 GPU equivalent in the cloud. So when you play games on there, you're able to take advantage of DLSS and other things. So you're getting superior performance and visuals from a gaming standpoint when you use GeForce Now compared to cloud gaming, because Xbox Cloud Gaming is 1080p 60 if the game supports it. But like I said, the latency is probably the biggest thing they need to resolve, and then, go to the visuals beyond that. So there's still work to do. But for someone that wants a nice option to jump in and test out cloud gaming, I think there's so many acronyms. Xbox Cloud Gaming, is a nice supplement to that.
Is it no longer xCloud?
No, we've moved on to Xbox Cloud Gaming.
Interesting. So
with
Paris,
a little beta.
Oh, okay.
Next
I have a couple little questions for you, okay?
Sure.
So you're giving it an 8. Is that specifically the Fire version of it, or is that just everything you've used with cloud gaming for Xbox?
I would say overall.
Okay.
Because I feel that the Fire TV experience is identical to using it on other ones. The only difference is you can only do wireless. You can't have it hardwired. But even as a wireless experience, the latency on it was similar to what I've done on other devices as well.
And then my next question for you is: you talk about other devices. Are you? For everything I talk about today, when I talk about Xbox Cloud Gaming, I've been calling it XCloud. I didn't realize we changed the title. I'm going to talk about using a backbone and an iPhone. Right? Are you familiar with using that kind of setup of some kind?
That was my first experience with it. When they originally came out with it, I was using, I think it was the Razer controller on an Android phone.
So yeah, my thing is, I wonder. So much of this is always eye of the beholder, and this comes from somebody who talks about, the PlayStation Portal so much. The PlayStation Portal is now the dominant way I use my PlayStation 5, because every night I'm playing PlayStation 5, and usually I at least start on the couch with Jen up there. And oftentimes, like last night, she's like, "I want to go to bed and read. Will you come with me?" Like, fuck, fine, yeah. Fine. Bring the Portal in there and keep playing Diablo, right? Getting close to that platinum, but that's a conversation for another story. The wall's green. My thing is always, though, I always talk up what a great time I'm having with the Portal and how great the quality is and yada yada. And then Tim will be like, "Well, I have X, Y, and Z problem. It's running better on my Steam Deck OLED and how I'm doing that." I'm like, "Oh, interesting that there's all these different things." You talk about the latency being noticeable for you. Are we talking about milliseconds or legitimate? Like, because you talk in your review that's up on your channel, and then what you've talked about here, you talk about like, oh, you had to adjust to it and all this stuff. Is it like that floaty for you that it is like move?
It is, and that's where it comes in. It is milliseconds in that I'm used to a certain, all right, if I'm playing Starfield, I know how the aiming works in it, right?
Yeah.
Now it feels slightly off. Halo Infinite, again, trying to play multiplayer on that, it feels slightly off. So you have to almost slightly anticipate your next move before you do it with the controller, whereas it would feel more natural, obviously playing locally, because that's just the way that you've always played. And like I said, when I just dedicated myself over a couple day period that this is how I'm playing, I compensated for it. I got used to it, and then it was fine. But you will see a difference the first time. When someone goes from playing local to playing cloud, you're going to see the difference. And, it's interesting you brought up the Portal, because that was kind of my issue with the Portal when I reviewed that as well. I could tell the difference in latency compared to what I was doing when I was playing natively on my PlayStation 5 as well. Yeah. Like I said, ironically enough, Stadia probably got it the best as far as latency goes, where it was in that 95 percentile of 1-to-1. Compared to playing locally, but they also had a controller that you could connect directly wirelessly to the cloud servers. And I think that helps as well. But kind of going back to my score real quick, there was three things that I took off of that. It was the latency, number one, the fact that you're limited to 1080p, and you can only use Game Pass other than Fortnite. They've still not provided an option that the other digital games that I own, I can cloud stream those. If they're not on Game Pass, if I'm not subscribed to Game Pass, you can't take advantage of them.
Yeah, that's one for me. When we talk about Xbox Cloud Gaming, I appreciate that it is Game Pass and I can jump into that, use my Game Pass Ultimate, but there's that level of, okay, well, I have thousands of dollars invested into this ecosystem. When will I get my opportunity to play those games that I bought that are just kind of floating in between, that are only on my console or PC? When will it come to cloud? And it doesn't really seem like we have that answer yet, Paris. We've just been kind of floating around talking about it, but we've still never made that jump yet.
Yeah, agreed. And I even said it when I did my review on the channel, but I think we'll eventually get there to, like I say, this magical 95 percentile. But, as internet speeds increase, as they build out infrastructure, as they figure out smarter ways to reduce latency, with these games, it'll be more viable. And I think them providing this as this isn't the only option you have, which was Stadia's fault, but a nice, hey, this is an option. If my kids are on the main TV and already playing a console game, I can hop on, like you talk about a lot, Greg. You hop on the Portal, and we'll sit there and play on the couch. So I think there is a future for cloud gaming for sure. And I think it will be the way that they're going to attract more people to get into playing games. But it's not 100% there just yet. I think there's still some more time in the oven, so to speak, that they're going to need. And I'm not just saying that on the Xbox front. I think that's anyone that's trying to do cloud gaming right now. But I do think when I think about the leaders in cloud streaming, it's not Xbox right now. They have work to do on that. And I know they're using the Series X consoles, to be able to play. And I know there's some back end stuff on the logistics of that. And maybe once they go into next gen, there's some things that they can do to get it to 4K, consistent 60 frames, reduce latency even more. But I don't think it's going to be there in the next couple of years.
Talking about the Amazon Fire Stick, because that's what Paris got to jump in. You brought up no direct connect for your internet. It goes Wi-Fi only on that one. I know you've jumped on the Samsung TVs before. We've gotten to see that, you and I. Is that similar? I mean, of course, the UI is, but did you feel a big difference not being able to direct connect and just going over Wi-Fi? Or was it close enough?
See, the Samsung Gaming Hub is actually a great test case for this because GeForce Now is on there, Luna is on there, and Xbox and GeForce Now, they're all on there. And I've used all of them on there with the same exact controller connected over Bluetooth. And you can tell the difference in latency between the three. Absolutely. And that's where I say cloud gaming lags behind. Xbox cloud gaming lags behind in that compared to GeForce Now and even Luna. So there's something they're going to have to do in their back end to improve that, because now I'm on a wired connection, gig connection, using the same controller across the same three services. And there is a difference. So there's definitely something there that they're going to need to improve.
That's interesting. Yeah, because me and Paris during Summer Game Fest, they had the Samsung booth there.
Yeah.
And it was the first time I ever got to use it.
And it was smooth, right?
And that's what I'm going to say. It was very smooth. And I put it through the test on Fortnite. I mean, I was cranking soggy 90s. Woo! I was going up, left, right, center. I was trying to freak this machine out. And it actually stayed up with me. And I was very surprised because as someone who owns a Samsung TV, I always see it pop up, the Samsung Gaming Hub, but I never touch it, right? Because I'm direct. I have my console plugged into the TV. I never thought, let's try this, see what's going on. And so I looked at him at the booth. I said, prove to me why I should be caring about this. Show me what's up. And they sat me down and I got to play right next to Paris. And I was really impressed with the Samsung Gaming Hub playing cloud gaming. I didn't think it would keep up. And it actually, surprisingly to me, Paris, latency was almost a non-factor. I didn't think it was that bad. And of course, they tell you, hey, it's not direct connected. We're using, Jeff Keighley's Wi-Fi. And, I'll take them at their word.
He's charging you 15 cents a minute.
It ran really well on that Samsung gaming app. I'm really surprised.
And here's something I did do during all this testing, because like you said, I have the Samsung TV here as well. So an interesting fact that some people may or may not know, GeForce Now, you can play Xbox games, but they're PC Game Pass games, not just the console Game Pass games. So Starfield is a great example of this. Playing, or even Fallout 76, I can play those at 4K, and the latency on there is noticeable compared to doing it on the same exact device, doing it through cloud gaming, which again, it's only at 1080p, but the latency, there is a difference where it played better on GeForce Now than it did on Xbox Cloud Gaming. So, and I know I sound almost like I'm being super negative here, but I just want to.
I think you're being super detailed.
Yeah. I'm just trying to be crystal clear of the differences that people will see between the services. I do think the advantage that Xbox would have in that scenario is you're already subscribed to Game Pass. You just play it. You don't have to pay an extra fee. Whereas GeForce Now, there's a fee that you're going to have to pay to be able to play these games on there. But that alone just shows me the potential of what Xbox Cloud Gaming could be, just by looking at GeForce Now and playing the same exact Xbox games through that service compared to the Xbox Cloud Gaming service.
It's interesting. We talk about options, right? And I think that's what I look at this with Paris talking about Amazon Fire Stick, right? It's like more options. We kind of talked about it on the Xcast before we slowed that down was, hey, like, let's look at a streaming puck, or when does it become an app on every TV?
Yeah.
And they've been slow rolling that out to Samsung, and it's nice to see on Amazon. So I'm pretty pleased to see more get it, and I'm sure it's only a matter of time before we really flip the switch and go everywhere. But Greg, you've been playing a lot of cloud gaming, and I want to know your thoughts. You bring up the PlayStation Portal and what you do with remote play, but now you actually go on the cloud and really push it. What do you think about that?
It's a fascinating question, and your use case varies, and et cetera, and et cetera, and et cetera. For me, not talking about Amazon since I haven't used it, just talking about the cloud via me using a backbone as much as I do. Like, again, I love everything Paris just said, and I loved how detailed he is. It reminds me of when Tim and I talk on a show, and Tim gets super into the specs and the Dolby and the whatever, and I'm like, that's great. For me, as just, I would say, maybe as close to being a mainstream gamer and not being a tech person at all, for me, Xbox cloud gaming is a 9 out of 10. It is legitimately amazing. Like, I am amazed every time I boot it up. And it was the idea that, like, I have so many different use cases, I guess session cases more than use cases, right? Because for me, cloud gaming has been Starfield. And it has been Starfield since I was obsessed with Starfield the first time. And then when I came back and was re-obsessed, because, obviously if I'm upstairs with Jen, I'm not using the PlayStation Portal for it. I'm going to use my backbone and I'm going to jump in there. And to the latency that does exist in any of these, for me, the latency in Starfield isn't not noticeable, but it only is noticeable for me really when I go from, I'm putting down the Xbox controller downstairs on the TV and on the Xbox Series X and going upstairs and picking it up. Like, when I saw Paris's video today and you called out Starfield and you mentioned the latency you felt there and felt floaty, I was like, damn, I was playing last night on the backbone to get my feet underneath me again on my conversation. And again, I was legitimately amazed at how well it ran. And so then I watched Paris's video this morning at the office, jumped back in, went in, ran around with my shotgun, and I was making the headshot and making the body shot and jumping when I want. And it's like, I am just dumb enough probably. And you know me, I'm not the clicking heads nitro rifle over here, right? I'm just Greg who loves a good RPG and loves a good story. So I'm not even in it for the twitchy gameplay of that. I was like, damn, I don't feel it. And it almost reminds me of fucking Shallow Hal, right? When Jason Alexander tells Jack Black that Gwyneth Paltrow doesn't look like Gwyneth Paltrow, right? And he's like, why would you do that? Why would you say that? If you saw Wonder Woman, why would you? It's the same thing here, where I'd rather not know that, that idea of it. And it's my other huge example is Forza Horizon 5, where Forza Horizon added in that Universal Pack 2 weeks ago, a month ago, whatever it was, with the DeLorean. And I was like, oh, you bet your ass I'm going to play for the first time ever a Forza game. And I went and I got the DeLorean and I put it in there and I went downstairs and I turned on my Xbox and I was like, shit, you weren't plugged in. All right, download Forza. And I went back upstairs and then I was like, well, you know what? Booted up the cloud, jumped right in. I've only played Forza through the cloud. And so I don't know the minutes a second or what, you know what I mean? But it's like, it has been amazing in terms of shit. This feels great, and I'm really enjoying this game. And I can't believe I didn't know that I didn't realize it was a burnout, and this isn't a Forza preview or review, but it's like, wow, this is just a fun car game in a way I didn't know I wanted that fun car game. And then, of course, the crazy future we live in now, crazy life I live in now, and there's so much to talk about just in general on this topic. Maybe we get to it, maybe we don't. But this weekend of little baby Benny, 2.5 years old, going, I want to play Forza Horizon again. I want to be the Bronco. That's what he likes to do in this game, right? And you've seen it on the Gamescast last week, 2 weeks ago, when he came in and I was doing Luigi's Mansion review and he sat next to me and played Forza Horizon on the thing. Again, I was like, ooh, how is it going to work on the cloud here in the office? You know what I mean? Like, I haven't done a lot of cloud stuff here in the recent time. Worked great. Ben played. It was fantastic. Blessing switched the cars. Like, I trick myself all the time of like, oh, right, I'm on the cloud. Like, I'm not remote playing it, and I'm also not holding a Vita or a handheld or a DS or whatever. The Xbox handheld, which I am so ready for if they make one. Let's go, Phil. Let's make it. Let's make an Xbox handheld. But I get tricked all the time of like, oh, right, this is a cloud experience. Now, of course, I see it more on remote play personally, where there's a stutter or an artifacting of the image or something. And when I say more, I mean, for me at home on the Portal, once every third session. Like last night, I actually had a cloud hiccup, but it was because I went from playing Starfield in the living room, like next to one of the Wi-Fi meshes, all the way into the kitchen to make Gen tea. And then it started like Artifact, like, all right, well, I'm getting really far from the internet and it's pinging around, right? Anyways, back to the story from this weekend, though, again, of like the amazing time you live in. When I look at this device and I can't believe as a fucking handheld purist, as somebody who loves his handheld gaming machines, right? Like, Ben wanted to play Forza Horizon. I was like, do you want to go downstairs? Because that's where the giant TV is and the thing. And he's like, no, I want to play it here. Prop pillows up in his lap. Give him my phone and the backbone, and he's playing Forza. And so what did I do? Grabbed my Portal, started that, played Diablo next to him, right? And there's this little, like, I'm playing games while my son, and it's right there, and we're both streaming through the internet, but it's not failing, and it's not collapsing, and it's not like back in the day of your dad picking up the phone and fucking up what you were doing on America Online. Like, that is still me for cloud gaming, where it's like, I can't believe it. And I might be lucking out because, again, my games aren't, I need a Twitch shooter. I need to be perfect here. I need to go do that. My game is Starfield right now via this, right? Ben is obsessed with Little Kitty Big City. He's been playing that on Jen's Switch, but again, he started it up on, he was already on this. I was like, oh, we'll start a new game on the cloud. That's working great. Forza's working great. Like, I am amazed. I saw when Paris was talking about giving it an 8, I saw people over in our live chat being like, oh, I'd give it a 5 out of 10. This, that, and the others happen for me. And I'm not trying to take away from your experience with it. But for me, as somebody who's jumping in there and what my experience has been with it, I am constantly in awe that it works and it works as well as it does. Where I literally... Go ahead, please.
Oh, no, I was just going to jump in and say you make the great point about that. And that's how I've tried to approach this, where I do feel like I'm being super nitpicky, but you always have to look at this from the lowest common denominator of use case, right? There's so many variables that come into cloud gaming that you have to take for account for. Start with your television. That can cause latency, right? Yeah. Then obviously your internet connection itself, the Wi-Fi, your distance from wherever this data center is that you're connected from, the ping times. There's all these different variables that you have to account. So while one person's use case might be amazing,
100%.
The next one's could be completely awful. And I think like I keep going back to the Portal because I remember people giving me a lot of shit about what I was saying about it.
What did you fucking say about it?
Because I had a lot of latency on it, right?
Fuck
and
you, Paris.
Like, I know, see? But people were telling me, oh, you need to upgrade your Wi-Fi. You need to do this. People are like, that's not realistic. People aren't going to do that. I go, look, my Wi-Fi works great if I'm watching Netflix or I'm doing this or doing that. So to tell someone they need to completely upgrade their entire home internet system, for cloud streaming is not a realistic proposition for the average consumer. And like you said, Paris. Most people, this is probably going to be completely enjoyable. They're going to have a great time with it. No problem. But you are going to have people, because like Fortnite, you can play on this for free, right? So you're going to have people that might try to be competitive playing on cloud gaming, and you have to take into account for that. They're not going to have the experience that they want, or you're going to have people that are very nitpicky about how their game controls, and if it's slightly off because you're streaming it over the cloud, that's going to be a use case for them, right? So 100%. That's how I see it. So I think the scores would be across the board, just depending on the individual and what their setup looks like in their home.
100%, Paris. Yeah, none of that's ever lost on me. Again, that we're in San Francisco. I pay for whatever great internet, gigabit, whatever the hell it is. I couldn't tell you if I'm Wi-Fi 5, 6, whatever. I know when I paid somebody an exorbitant amount of money to put in cables, it was the Cat 6 or 7 or whatever the highest cables I could get in the goddamn place. Where, like, I'm with you of like, I get it. And somebody being like, oh, it's a 5 out of 10 for me, or it's this. And like somebody went through, I'm sorry I didn't get your name, was like, wait till Greg tries Luna. You need to fucking wake up. We've done a lot of Luna streams here, and I always talk about how amazed I am with Luna and how much I like Luna. And when I was like, man, New World's added controller support, I'm going to play that on Luna. And then I was like, it's not on Luna. I'm like, what the fuck, Amazon? Similar to last night when I was up there playing on Xbox Cloud, having a great time. And I was like, all right, Starfield runs exactly how I remembered, flawlessly. Game of the year last year will be game of the year this year. It's got a chance, people. Why don't I jump into Diablo 4? Search. Okay, I'll jump back in. It's not, I've never jumped in. Did it click the search bar, put it, I'm like, motherfucker, Diablo 4 isn't on the Game Pass? And I Googled, and it's like, because of the deal they had with Ubisoft or whatever, with Activision, they can't fuck.
Yeah, I want to give some props to what we've seen, the growth of Xbox Cloud Gaming on the UI side. I know me and Paris have always talked about, being able to jump in. I mean, people have brought it up, right? The cloud saves. How simple it is that it just snaps from my console to PC. Now being on the cloud, I'm having saves from 2007 playing Oblivion. All of a sudden, that's snapping and following me. That's amazing. But the UI has grown so much where now you can join party chats, you can see your friend list, you're looking at achievements on the cloud side on just my phone and my little handheld to now on the PC side where you can also do mouse and keyboard on games pairs. They didn't even have that at the beginning. It's grown a lot where when I click on it, I'm always impressed of, oh, you're really taking the time to make this feel like a console experience, and it's getting closer and closer every day. I was wowed today by jumping in and being able to see all that.
To jump in and just iterate that point, I know, Paris, I see you want to jump in too, but just especially coming from being the PlayStation guy, right? I've covered PlayStation my entire career. I come for the Xbox exclusive here or there. You're nailing it. Of like when it is like it's pinging and it's syncing and it's doing, and I turn it off downstairs and I come back upstairs and I ping the cloud and it's there. I redeem the Forza DLC code I got on the .com, and this might all sound like, yeah, trust me, PlayStation has not always been like this. Like, it's better now, it's better than ever, but there are still days where it's like, ah, shit, which save does it want me to sing? And this thing just fucking gets it. And again, Xbox has an ecosystem where I've made this comment before, and I mean it, of like, if the handheld turns out to be true, like, that is a game changer for me on where I want to play third-party stuff. The idea that it is just like, cool, it's on the cloud. It's, if I only have my phone, it's on the handheld if I want to go or bring that upstairs or do it. It's over here. Like, it's fucking insane.
Yeah, it's all...
Sorry, Paris, do you want to jump back in? We were talking about cloud.
No, I mean, you're pretty much nailing what I was going to chime in on. It's the synergy of what they've done with their services across these multiple platforms, to where I can hop from my Amazon Fire Stick to my PC, to my console in the family room, to the one in the kids' room, hop on my mobile device, browser, like, and it all just works. And it works almost seamlessly in that way. And I think, if anything, that is the big advantage that Xbox as a whole has, that having cloud gaming as just a piece of that puzzle is really ideal. So you can literally just pick up and play wherever you want.
And this is, like, for me, one of the reasons I'm actually going to get a Fire Stick is that Ben usually is hanging out in his playroom, which is upstairs, and there's a TV above the fireplace. Pop that in there so he doesn't have to dominate my phone and also play in the smallest thing and have the worst posture of all time for this 2.5-year-old, right? Like, toss it up there. And again, if it's the same theoretically because of I'm on the same Wi-Fi structure, that's good enough for what he's doing or what I'd ever want to do of tossing Starfield up there or something.
I like that a lot. Let's jump into the YouTube's super chats. We have one coming in from Nightlife for Paris. Big user here for the xCloud. Have you had some of my best games of For Honor and Halo? Could it be a data center latency driven problem? Mike, Paris, and Greg, you are the GOATs. Paris, what is it? What do you think it is with the data centers and your proximity to them? Do you think people will see issues like that?
I think that's a real possibility. Now, I'm very close to Los Angeles, so I'm sure I'm pretty close to it. And I've not looked on the Xbox side, so I don't know what my ping looks like, but I know with the GeForce Now servers, I have a pretty reasonable ping, so that should be ideal as far as latency goes. But this goes back into what I was saying before. There's so many variables that goes into cloud gaming that all it takes is one thing to go wrong in that chain that could degrade your experience. So you never know what the issue could be. And I'll say again, the example that I take, playing on a hardwired Samsung TV using the Xbox app compared to GeForce Now, compared to Luna, compared to just the native games that you can get through the gaming hub, the latency was more noticeable on Xbox compared to the rest. So that tells me it's something outside of my house versus something that's inside my house, because, like I said, it was better on services on the same exact device.
Question for both of you, I think more for how Paris seems to play and getting moved around the house so much, like me. Do you ever remote play with your Xbox? Because I've had it set up previously, and then whatever had happened, it fell apart between, my very long stretches of not playing Xbox. And that's what I was like, oh, I don't even want to go downstairs and do it. I'll try cloud. And then I've never looked back because I've had such a great experience with it. Do you remote play ever, Paris?
It's been a very long time before cloud gaming ever really became a big thing for Xbox. I used to do it back in the day. Ironically enough, I do it with PlayStation. That's what I do it with. It's probably more similar to your use case. But no, with Xbox, I really haven't, because I think ideally I've been trying to really just test out this whole cloud gaming thing to where I don't have to be dependent on the console, to be able to remote play something.
Yeah, I never remote play. I mean, maybe next week when NCAA football comes out and I want to play that anywhere, and unfortunately it's not on cloud gaming, then maybe I'll be remote playing. But no, I am not someone that when I go out and am looking to ping my Xbox at home and somehow play. I usually just try to enjoy the vacation and go forth. But ever since cloud gaming has come out, I've enjoyed being able to turn on my phone and see that. I would like them to condense the 3 different apps that I have for Xbox on the phone. If we could also say, like,
Phil,
some improvements.
the amount of times
I got 3 different apps, Phil.
I
Help
hit
me
the
out,
Xbox
bro.
thing, and it's like, do you want a remote play? I'm like, fuck, cloud's on the other app.
Help me out, bro. Let's get this all together
Now,
here.
I do have to circle back to the whole remote play thing. Actually, something that I do from time to time, I remote play Steam from my PC to the Apple TV out in my family room, and you can do it on the Steam Deck as well.
When you got to have that Minesweeper fix, you know?
Yeah, and it works pretty well.
But I will ask the final question before we move on into our ad break is, Paris, after your review here, it is positive for me to see them branching out and going to different, brands and different companies to work with them. But it still doesn't feel like cloud gaming in 2024 is the way. And we've talked about this on the Xcast of when does it make that leap? Are we in an age now where cloud gaming is a way to play? This is it. It still feels very additive from what you've said. Of course, the ecosystem and all that, but it doesn't feel like people are going to make this their main way to play. Is that true for 2024?
Oh, yeah. In my personal opinion, I don't think you'll see people go, well, hey, I'll just pick up a Fire Stick and subscribe to Game Pass, and that's the only way I'm going to interact with these games. We're probably closer to 2030, in my opinion. I just think the infrastructure is not mature enough yet to truly support it for everything that I was just talking about before, as far as all the different variables that you'll have.
All right. Greg, what do you think? Will there ever be a time where you think cloud gaming is the only way you'll play one day?
No, I doubt it. I think no matter what we're doing and how it's going, your best experience would be local, right? Even now when I'm upstairs playing, right, it is still always a lifeboat. It's not like last night when Jen was like, but you're coming to bed with me. And I'm like, she laughed at me. And I'm like, and I literally said, Mike, if I'm lying at that, I'm like, listen, eventually we're getting college football and you're saying goodbye to me. So until that game's here, I will hang out with you and play remote play. But I want it on the giant screen. I want it in 4K. I wanted all these things. Now, Fire Stick, the app on the TV, are we moving to a place where theoretically that could happen? Yeah, but there's always going to be this yes, but where are we ever going to figure out the internet in this country to make it great everywhere and not have to worry about centers and pings and this? Yeah, probably. And so it's hard to look into that future without it, but I still feel like there'll be something to a local machine that would give you that high quality experience. Maybe it would swing the other way though, where that is the boutique experience, and there is. Hey, yeah, you can get whatever game system library is the one that's dominant through your TV, through the app on your phone. The connectivity and the ecosystem is really where it's at. Yeah. Where it's not so much about is one going to take over in terms of the cloud or the streaming. I think it's more the fact that I want my games wherever we are. We're excited to try Once Human tomorrow, right? And I got infinitely more excited than, of course, Crestfallen when I saw that, oh my God, wait, this is going to be on the phone too? So I don't need to be playing on PC all the time. And it's like, yes, eventually, maybe. It comes out this week on PC. Yeah. Whoa, who knows when we're getting a mobile version? But it's like, that's the thing where I want to be able just to go and whatever experience I'm at when I have that 10 minutes, that 20, that hour, play on the one that best fits the device. Yeah,
it's funny. We always talk about the future, me and Paris and Gary back on the Xcast of, well, we don't know what 10 years will look like. And, I don't think if you could rewind 10 years, I don't think people would be saying, oh, I'm just streaming Netflix and all these movies to my phone all the time. Sure. Or now I don't buy games physically, I'm on digitally. So it is hard to say what could be in the next 10 years. But I do see us in a future in the next 20, 30 years, one day, where we do move away from having the console and everything is just beamed and streamed. I think we will get to that beamed one day. And that's just how it's going to be. But until then, we'll keep playing games on the console. Paris?
Yeah, I was just going to add to that. I think cloud gaming, and again, this is going back to infrastructure building up, it's going to be more ideal in global locations where console gaming isn't as practical, but everybody has a mobile phone, right? Everybody has a cellular connection. And if they can figure that out to make that more accessible to people and obviously more affordable to people in those areas, that's where I think you'll get more people adopted into gamings via cloud streaming. But we'll see.
It's been a good conversation about a review of Xbox Cloud Gaming in 2024. Check out your Amazon Fire Sticks right now where you can get that app, like Paris said, on 2 different versions of that Fire Stick. Go look that up. Guys, we're going to hear a word from our sponsors, and then guess what? We're going to have a fun conversation about being dads and playing games with your family.
Sarah Bond wrote in. Sarah Bond wrote in, want to talk to you.
This episode is brought to you by Shady Rays. Get ready for the season ahead with quality shades built to last. Our friends over at Shady Rays have you covered with premium, polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers an unrivaled product that's just as good as any expensive pair that I've ever worn. Durable frames and world-class optics for all outdoor adventures. With an extensive array of styles and colors, you're bound to find the perfect pair of Shady Rays sunglasses. Y'all know I've been outside in the sun a lot playing Pokemon Go. GoFest is next week, and I'm going to be wearing my Shady Rays. Every pair of sunglasses is backed by lost or broken replacements. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they told us they will send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. But exclusively for y'all, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal. You can head to shadyrays.com and use code KINDAFUNNY for 50% off 2 or more pairs of shades. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Shadyrays.com, use code KINDAFUNNY for 50% off 2 or more pairs of shades.
This episode is brought to you by A Better Paradise. From the writers of the Red Dead Redemption and Grand Theft Auto series comes the new immersive audio fiction podcast, A Better Paradise, Volume 1 and Aftermath. Set in the near future, A Better Paradise tells the story of the ill-fated development of an ambitious but addictive digital game world project led by inventor and psychologist Dr. Mark Tyburn. As the advanced software they developed began to deliver unexpected and disturbing results, the team fell apart under strange circumstances and the project was abandoned. The game world and the super intelligence within were discarded, left dormant and undiscovered. Until now. I listened to episode 1 on my way to work today, and the thing that stood out, of course, are the performances, but then as an audio drama fan, it was the use of monologues. There's a whole bunch of talking here as it sets up the world that is not that far from us in the timeline and also not that far from us in the technology, which is disturbing, but I'm quite interested to see where it goes. A Better Paradise is out now and available everywhere you get your podcasts. Go listen today, and don't forget to follow A Better Paradise on your platform of choice to make sure you never miss an episode.
Welcome back, everyone. Of course, I wanted to segue into a fun topic with 2 gaming dads. Gary, I still miss you and I love you. But Greg, you get
Don't
to
get me
fill in
started
for
on that guy. Don't get me
Gary
started
Whitta
on that
today.
guy. Yeah.
And last week you posted a really fun one. You and your son shared an awesome gaming moment. You beat your first level of Mario together, and I thought that was really cute. And you kind of wanted to have a conversation. Of course, Paris has his family. They've had gaming moments. I've had great gaming moments with my mother. So I wanted to talk about, gaming moments with the family and more specifically your kid.
Sure, yeah. What I always talk about with gaming and kids and all these different things, right, is that before I even met Jen, I'm fairly certain. Maybe we'd already been married. I forget, but like Jen's what turned me around on having kids, right? First date, she mentioned it, and I was like, yes, it's the whole thing. And it was that maybe it was Destiny 2's launch. Donald Mustard, formerly of Epic Games, formerly of Fortnite and all that, had posted on Instagram or on Twitter that him and the boys were so excited that in the basement they had quad flat screens on the TV, and one was running college football on Saturday and the other 3 was running Destiny, and they were playing it. And I was like, that is an amazing thing that I can't wait to one day get to. And we haven't had like a plan for introducing Ben to video games. Like that hasn't been a thing. Again, Ben, my son, he's 2.5 years old. So it hasn't been like, oh, we're going to wait till this age or do this thing and blah, 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 blah. And, throughout these 2 years, I've shown him a game here or there or whatever. And, he originally got super into Hot Wheels Unleashed 2, where he loves his Hot Wheels. So it was like, well, look, some of your Hot Wheels are in this game. And that game is great because you could turn on every one of the assists where all I have to do is hit R2 and then it will go. And he maneuvers it a bit and he can screw it up as he often did and get him off. But it's like that. He was happy doing that for a long time. And then when I showed him Forza, that's when he really wanted to play, and there's no assist there. So I would drive him out of the starting, festival area just into the open world and then let him go. And Forza, again, being, this sounds goofy probably, but such an easy control scheme compared to Hot Wheels, because Hot Wheels has turbo and it has the, checks left and right and stuff like this. This being, you move them with this, which you already knew. You R2 is gas, which he picked up on, and then L2 is reverse, which he picks up on, because of course the Kind of Funny crew bought him that Jeep for his birthday.
Yes.
And so he knows that little shit. He drives that thing by himself now, where he shifts. He knows when he needs to shift it to reverse and go. So once he did that with Forza, it was like, holy shit! Like, wait a second, like he's actually playing Forza, and he when he wants to do a donut, he does a donut, and when he wants to avoid stuff and smash stuff, and he sees the sandstorm and he goes into the sandstorm, and then tells me he's in the sandstorm. It's amazing, right? But that had been happening, and so then it became like, well, shit, like, what else could we do with this? And he wanted to play a different video game, but he didn't know what he wanted. And I was like, you want to play Mario? And because when Mario Wonder originally dropped, I was home that day from work taking care of him. And so we went into the basement, and he watched me play like 2 levels. And I have videos of him going like, wahoo! Like, I kept doing it, and then he started mimicking me. But he never showed like it. He didn't understand what really was happening, I think. So when this seed started to sprout this past weekend, it was like, okay. And like, I'm like, well, how am I going to do this? And like, I, of course, defaulted to go get a Pro Controller. I'm like, no, wait, he's a baby. So I went over to the Switch and popped off the Joy-Cons and turned them to the side and, started them as player 1 and 2, gave it to him and logged him in as Mario. And then, yeah, you saw a video for our close friends that was him going and being able to move Mario and pick that up and then jump and then learn to jump. And then, yeah, we went through the entire level and got to the flagpole, right? And then it's like, you say he's completed now dozens, right? Because we just keep going and playing. And like, don't get me wrong, like he's still 2.5. So there are like the underwater levels. I'm asking him to speak Greek. I'm like, tap, 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 tap. And he's like just tapping A2 slowly, right? So he's not rising or whatever. So I have to do that for him. And we quickly defaulted to the stuff we had already done to redo and just run, because he's not worried about getting these wonder seeds like I am. But yeah, it was this amazing thing of like, wow, we're already here. And again, I'm shocked every day by how much more of a person he is and what he learned from the previous day and how, what, like all of these things. And again, the power wheel he's driving, the fact that now he can just drive the power wheel is insane. And then the fact that he could understand Forza is insane. So it's all these different pieces, but now suddenly be playing games with him, it's like, wow, that's such a crazy feeling, Mike.
I bet, Greg. I can't comprehend it because, as with my children, I've just put them in front of the TV screen. We've been watching One Piece. We've been playing games since just day one. It's like that. But yeah, Paris, I think of memories with my mom, but really for me back in the day, we didn't have games on the phone. It wasn't relevant that. So it's like we kind of slow started with the arcade, and then cousin Peter came over with the Sega one day, and we all kind of looked at each other like, whoa, what is this Aladdin video game? And then grandma getting us a PlayStation 1 for Christmas a long time ago. And that's how it kind of steamrolled. But it is wild to think about, like, people are going to have moments like that with you, Greg, where we're on the couch now and we can just kind of start playing out of nowhere.
I almost shot you a text, Paris, because I remember how you had been stumping for the Xbox Family Plan or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it was like that. I wanted an update on all of that because I was like, do I need to create Ben an Xbox Live account? That way I can go play Forza with him. And I was like, that might be a bit far because, again, he's just going to want to spin, and I'm going to get the itch to go do a race or whatever. Because even in Mario, sometimes I'm like, all right, come here. Well, all right, you're a ghost now. Come to me. I got to touch you.
But that day is coming, though. You will 100% do that. That's what, since you bring up the family plan, that's why I want it, because I'm in a house where 4 of us game and we play, and the gymnastics that I have to pull off to make that happen sometimes, you know what I mean? Like, to the point now, my oldest daughter, she just has her own subscription and account and everything that she does. But with my son, I play that dance of kind of, managing it, the back and forth. And my middle daughter, or my youngest daughter, I should say, she's been leaning more into playing on Nintendo stuff. Like, ironically enough, you bring up all these stories. She picked up Zelda on her own without me suggesting it, saying it, anything, and really started diving into that on her own. And then she has her Fortnite crew, but she just does that, playing off of the Switch as well. But it's interesting to see, you only have Ben, but when you have multiple kids and to see the things that they will gravitate towards and what they enjoy. I think my son, just obviously we're the only 2 guys in the house, he just kind of gravitates to the things that I play. But watching my oldest daughter, and I've talked about this on Xcast before, Mike, where giving her Game Pass and just seeing all the different things that she's just discovered on her own has always been fascinating to me. And even her in her early days, she started off on Minecraft. That was kind of her big thing that really got her into gaming. But it's been fascinating to see what has been the thing that gets them into gaming. And I've never truly just tried to push it on them. They just obviously see me all the time and discover it on their own. But You'll have some stories, Greg, for sure. It'll be interesting to see Ben as he gets older what he jumps into.
It's a fascinating discussion because I remember like when Diablo 4 first launched and Jen was obsessed with it and I'm obsessed with it. We're going down every night after putting Ben to sleep. And I forget at what point, how many weeks in, where I was just like, do you understand that it took, what was it, 9 years or 7 years, 10 years? I forget what it was from Diablo 3 to 4. And I'm like, so theoretically, when Diablo 5 drops, Ben will play with us. You know what I mean? Like, there's a reality where we're grinding as a family down here. I was like, that's amazing. That's exactly what I want.
Yeah, Paris brings up the interest of his kids and all the differences. I find it so cool and fascinating of, man, I'd love to have the Xbox Game Pass family app, almost like Netflix, where it's like, let me click on mom's account. What are you interested in, mom? Like, oh, what's my little brother playing? Oh, I want to see that because, yeah, it is cool to see what they gravitate towards and what's going on. Paris, do you have any gaming memories with the kids like that where it is their first level ever and you're guiding them through them together?
Well, and I've talked about this before. It is just fresh in my head, but it's just my son with Destiny. That would probably be the main where he went from just sitting in the chair off, just watching me to, hey, can I try it? And giving him the controller and kind of walking him through. And then the next thing I know, I'm buying him his own console and we're raiding together and doing all this other crazy stuff. But I would say even with my youngest, like I just mentioned, the Zelda stuff, it was kind of her discovering that. And then me just being the voice in the background. Do this, press that, try this, try that, and watching her learn how to actually play that game to the point where it was like, can you leave me alone so I can play? I was like, all right, sorry, I'm out of here. You know what I mean? It's a cool thing. It's a cool feeling to see your kids go from not understanding how to play a video game to then mastering it to the point where they just want you to get the F out of the room and leave them alone. That trust me, Greg, that'll be the best feeling ever when Ben tells you to leave him alone.
Oh, no, I'm stoked about that.
Then you won.
Well, and that was the thing with this where it's like, again, we're very conscious of screen time. Like if you're a parent out there and you're thinking we're horrible people, like there have been, this is an experiment. And there was like, we noticed like had to have a conversation when he didn't want to eat that day. Right? It's like, all right, maybe we don't do, because he's usually the cartoons in the morning. And then it's been the thing of, it used to be like a treat where he'd eat in front of the TV and he started doing it more. And then we started going back the other way. And it was an uphill swing to be like, all right, no, you got to understand the relationship of what you're doing here. And so like, there was a moment where I needed to go help Jen in the kitchen, so I did walk away, and he got to play on Forza by himself for, 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever it was, and it was like, wow, this is so crazy to look out of my kitchen into the living room and see him playing games, right? And me wanting to be there playing games, and usually that's where I am as well. So, like, this mix of it and what it will become, and I think that's another thing that's so fascinating for it, is that to look back, and again, I'm way ahead of myself in terms of what Ben will be into, right? Like already he is a sports obsessed kid. He is a car obsessed kid. He loves the Ford Bronco to the point that yesterday, Mike, for cartoons, we watched a 15-minute review of a Ford Bronco.
Sick.
By like basically like the Ryan McCaffrey as is to Tesla, this guy is the Ford Bronco or whatever. So like he was making jokes in there and Ben's just like in it, and then we saw like 5 different Broncos walking through the neighborhood. Anyways, I digress. He's into cars, he's into baseball, he's into sports. I don't know where he'll be, but it's like I know that how I'm supporting and playing with Mario is how I want to do all of that, right? Where it's like, I remember, and this is no shade at my parents whatsoever, because video games were such a different thing, and of course, we're brand new to them, right? I remember how much I wanted them to play games with me. And I remember how you'd have to be like, Mom, please play. And she's like, okay. And then she go, what am I doing? How do I do it? What? I remember, like, I still have, you were talking about vivid memories. I, of course, had a Sega Master System because I always make the wrong choice. And I remember when one of my dad's friends from work, another, big burly construction worker, came over for, I'm sure, beers and a barbecue, but for me, it was just dad's friends coming to dinner. And I remember when I was playing the Sega Master System knockoff Duck Hunt. So not Duck Hunt, but the one that was the Sega Master System version with the blaster. He came through the room and like got on the floor, and like I like vividly remember him like with the gun playing, and my parents like watching him play with me, and like, but he wasn't like playing with me, he was playing, and I was like so fucking impressed that an adult was playing games better than me, you know what I mean, like trying to game the system, like how close to the TV do I need to be and all this stuff. I was like, that's awesome. So now to jump, and it's like when Ben's like asking, like he's putting me out, can I play video games? Like, yeah, hell yeah, we can play video games, let's go. And like last night, you know, we occasionally do movie night, where it is like usually TV is maybe an hour in the morning, then at 5, maybe 30 minutes while Jen and I make dinner or whatever it's going to be. And then sometimes we'll do a movie night. It's been a holiday weekend, of course. So he had his first viewing of the Aristocats, a Disney flick from the 70s. I'm not super versed in, Jen was. Great songs in there, I'll tell you right now. Little racist, but they put a warning in the beginning of it. Like most Disney films, I'm sure, from back then. I don't watch many of I watch more of the Pixar variety, but whatever. The next 2 nights later, when we did another movie night, it was like, let's watch a new movie. And we went through the Disney library, and I'm like, what about this one? What about that one? No. And I was like, and it was like, you know, after a weekend of Mario, I was like, what about the Super Mario movie? And he's like, and like, so we put that on. It's run in the background before, and he never really connected with it. This time he was dialed in.
Yeah.
I sent another video to Tim of him just like dialed in watching this. And is that movie a little too scary for a 2.5-year-old? Maybe. You know, now that he's actually watching it, Dry Bone's a bit terrifying. What are they doing to Luigi? I'm like, you know, he's going to be fine. Mario's going to save him. It's fine. But it was like, it's a very awesome to, I think, be as interested in his interests. And of course, our jobs allow us to constantly be a kid. And so I'm super excited to see what that turns into as he finds his own passions.
Yeah, that's what's exciting whenever I talk with you two, and of course Gary, is you guys are the next generation of parents with these kids, where you've played the games, you can now guide them. Sure. I think of my mom and dad, right, where it's like, oh no, we never had video games, and mom really tried her best, right? Like I brought up the story on the Xcast where she stayed up all night playing Gauntlet Legends 64 with us, which I'll never forget. When we played Lara Croft Tomb Raider, we built that bond of, I would get stuck and she would call the helpline and stay on hold for minutes, hours, just to have somebody tell us, oh, to find the idol, you got to go past the tigers and take a hard left, right? Like mom did a lot for me in my gaming, from setting up the internet for WoW, waiting in line to get the Xbox 360 for me and my little brother. It was a lot of fun moments, but we never had the, hey, I'm with you all the time, let me be your guide, or let's play together. I never looked at my mom and said, hey, sit down and play this. And I think she's always supported me on that. The one thing she didn't support, though, because it did happen in WWE Money in the Bank, I want to bring this up. Of course, me and Jackson never got along well with WWE video games, and we actually had cable television and all wrestling removed because Jackson did strangle me with an N64 cord once, just like CM Punk did to Drew McIntyre, because I was cheating and I wouldn't let him stand up off of the mat, and I would just spam X in front of him and punch him. And Jackson did wrap that cord around my neck, and we quickly never got to watch wrestling. All cable TV was taken for all the formative years. So yeah, I'll never forget that. And you know what? Mom acted swiftly and decisively on that one. So
wrestling's the big one, man, where I just don't know when I'm able to, because even now, like, Ben still hits. Yeah, you know, he's a toddler. He's a 2.5-year-old, right? So like sometimes the emotions or whatever, or he thinks he's playing, and it's like, no, so it's like his favorite game that only dad plays is Tortilla. Which is where dad lays on the ground with a pillow on his belly, and then Ben yells tortilla and jumps on me. Where he learned tortilla, I don't know. It just was one day he wanted to play tortilla. I'm like, what is tortilla? Maybe he made it up on the spot. So it is like, I don't know when I get to introduce him to wrestling. I will continue to introduce moves, and we'll go from there.
So when you guys talk about introducing games now, right, is it just, oh, he's fascinated by cars, hey, let me show you Hot Wheels, oh, you like Mario, well, let's play a Mario game? How is this going to go for you, Greg?
That's my
since
plan,
this kid's
and I
so
think
young?
it's what's approachable for him. Again, right, Forza, the racing, no. The open world driving, yeah, of course, that's great. Yeah. Hot Wheels, all these assists, great. Mario with me, okay, and not to mention Mario, not insulting it, you know, from point A to point B, usually pretty basic, right? Yeah. There's things that make it crazier. It's more like, we're watching Mario, the movie, last night, and they got to the cars, which he, of course, now, again, he's seen this in the background, but now he's like locked in, and he's like, it's Mario and it's cars. And I was like, Ben, do you know there's a game called Mario Kart where all you do, and his eyes got big, and it's like, that one, I'm like, then in my head, I'm like, you know, unlike your parents who didn't understand, I'm like, all right, so if I put him in Baby Park, That would work. I'm like, it can't be anything with shortcuts. It can't be anything you can fall off. Rainbow Road, you know what I mean? It's like, what can I put at
You're
50
going down the
cc?
list.
Put him
Yeah.
here. And I'm like, okay, that might work. That might be fun for him. It's like it's like what we've all been built for, and usually with our friends, right? Of like, oh, this, but it's like you're a sommelier for wine, right? But for video games, of like, he shows a little bit of interest in that. Like, okay, what could we do with that would make it? But trying to think on a toddler level, a child level, let alone the fact of like, I mean, it's crazy to think about now, right? But it's like he's playing and like the first time he gets the fire flower. You know what I mean? Like, wow, okay, so now you hit this button and you can throw fireballs. And he's like doing it. And I'm like, all right. And then we're watching the movie and they're in the fire flower field. I'm like, do you remember that flower? He's like, yes. I'm like, fuck, this is weird.
Come on, how cool. Paris, Greg, it's been a great episode. Of course, I love getting to talk about awesome special gaming moments with your kids and family. And of course, the progression of Xbox and Xbox Cloud Gaming. It is exciting to see them come to new platforms with the Amazon Fire Stick. Of course, let us know in the comments down below if you're jumping in on the Fire Stick, what you think so far. We got an awesome review from Pears. We got to talk about cloud gaming in 2024 with Greg and myself, and we want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in to another episode of the Kind of Funny Gamescast. We're kicking off the week after a fun holiday break. We're back in full swing, and we're playing more games and hanging out, talking games with all of you. After this, right now, if you're watching live on Twitch, you can stay on Twitch because me and Nick are going to take over. And we're going to play an early build of Angerfoot, which releases on July 11th. We have free Devolver digital game codes to give away to all of you throughout the stream. And of course, if you're watching on YouTube, there will be a brand new link. So click over there so I can give you a free game code. And then, of course, if you're a Patreon member or a YouTube Kind of Funny Games member, you can watch the Kind of Funny podcast later this afternoon, live as we record it, ad-free. But if you're not, guess what? You're going to have to catch it on podcast services or everything else tomorrow. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you on the stream in just a couple of minutes. Goodbye, everyone.